Hello and welcome to another review by Confused Matthew and Stand Stan. And today, or rather tonight, because it's 8:54 where we are, we are reviewing New Moon, which we have just saw. And I'm going to go ahead and let you go first, because this is pretty much going to be the same review as Twilight for me. I have exactly the same things to say. I don't even know why I'm opening my mouth. So I think you liked this a little more than I did, so go ahead.
I probably did, although I don't have that much different to say about this than I said about Twilight either. The only thing I would say is we were talking about the first one earlier today, and you had said that the first one was on either the low end of good or the high end of bad.
I mean, the really low end of good,
no, I know.
Or the really high end of bad. Yeah,
right.
It's right on that line.
Right on the line. It could be either one 50-50. I would just go ahead and call this one good.
Would you really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
What was
I mean,
bad
it's
about
not.
it?
I wouldn't call it bad
is.
either. But no, this is not good. I mean,
so you didn't think that this was any better or worse than the first one?
No,
I thought it was better.
I thought that the cinematography was better. The special effects were better. But the acting was the same. The screenplay was the same. The brooding was the same.
I thought that they gave the characters a little bit more to think about in this one. I thought they gave him a little bit more to feel, and I thought that they gave Bella in particular a really interesting problem. And I also thought that Edward's absence in that movie was heavy.
Well, it was felt. I noticed he was gone. That's about it.
Also, it was fucking her up. I thought the people. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't want to oversell this because it's not like, oh my god, it's a great movie. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. I just thought it was better than the first. I thought they gave them a lot more interesting things to feel, and I thought that the chemistry was a little bit better between...
I will concede that maybe they gave them a few more things to think about, because there are a few more elements in this movie than they were in the last one. There's also exactly the same kind of setup crap that you got in the first one, except this time it's about werewolves instead of vampires.
Yeah, that's true.
The vampires are largely absent. We're introduced to the werewolf world, which isn't that much different than the vampire world. The rules are different, but I mean, it's just the same.
It was kind of an echo of what you heard in the first one when she was getting introduced to the vampire. There, I agree with you.
With regard to them being given new things to feel, she's feeling exactly the same things. It's just for a different guy.
No, she's sort of torn between two of them toward the end. And also, I thought, what was the werewolf guy's name? Jacob? I kind of felt sorry for him.
I did too.
He got shafted.
As much as I care about this movie, which is not much, I did feel sorry for him in the way that I was supposed to. But
I was surprised how much I cared about it.
I wasn't. This is pretty much what I thought it was going to be, and it did its job. But this is where I'm going to pretty much repeat myself with regard to Twilight. I'm not the target of this film. I'm not really supposed to care. This is not like Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where it's largely universal and anyone can get involved in this. There is not a whole lot for me in this movie. So
I don't know how much more I or anyone else would care about it if they were part of its demographic. I mean, unless you're... A good movie is a good movie, a bad movie is a bad movie, and an average movie is an average movie, regardless of who the target is.
But there are different kinds of movies. Like, if you don't like science fiction, which a lot of the world does, but if you don't like it, it could be the best science fiction film in the world.
I think that people who don't like science fiction would like Firefly. I think people.
I don't know. There is an element of science fiction that can be universal. I'm talking about
if you don't like love stories.
This is not just a love story. This is a romance novel for teenage girls. If you're not a teenage girl, there isn't a whole lot here for you. And there wasn't a whole lot here for me to be invested in or really to care about.
Now, I think it kind of brings up a point that's more interesting maybe than talking about the movie, because essentially we're going to give the same review we did of the last one. Do you think that just anybody could watch Pretty Woman and think it was a good movie?
Yes.
Well, see, that's what's typically called a chick flick, but it was well done, so it has... You see what I'm saying? My point is, a movie can have universal appeal and be targeted at a certain demographic at the same time.
Not this.
No, I'm not saying this does, but I am saying that this can be enjoyed on its own level, and for what it is, I think it's...
But you have to say this is good for what it is. I mean, Pretty Woman wasn't just a good chick flick. It was a good movie in its own right. This is not. This is... There aren't very many people in the world that are going to care about this movie. It is very, very specifically targeted. It's like laser beam targeted at a very specific audience. And if you're not that audience, you're not going to care. And I didn't care very much. I can say for what it was, it was all right. But maybe we should actually talk about the movie, because we've been going on and on about the target audience here.
Well, the reason I did that is, it's the same thing.
No, I understand that. I appreciated the effort that went into the cinematography. I thought it was directed very well. I thought some of the shots were putting forth effort.
Yeah.
Specifically with the months going by.
I love that, yeah.
It going around her in the chair.
And the airplane, when time went by, it's going around the airplane.
And them jumping in the water. I mean, somebody was actually thinking about these shots. And I think that the people who were involved in making these movies, this one and the last one, they are doing the best they can with what they have. They're not just cranking something out and getting a check at the end of the day.
Right.
I think that they really are trying. If there is any limitation in this, it's just the material, which, like I said, very specifically targeted. Right. But they're doing the best they can, and I actually appreciated the director and the cinematographer in this case more than I did the screenwriter or the actors, which is rare.
Yeah, I have to say about the costumes in the movie. There was the Bella sort of collapses in the woods, and some guy who's not wearing a shirt carries her out there. And I said, I couldn't help myself, man find girl in woods. And
yeah.
And then
the costume designer had a really easy job, because the men
guys,
weren't wearing very much here, which is a real disappointment to me. The movie was a complete sausage festival. See, I'm just saying, like,
I just expected somebody off camera. When you see these guys that are running around with no shirts on, I expected somebody off camera to yell, "Put a shirt on!"
But see, look at what we're doing here. We have to talk about all this crap because there's not really much to talk about with regard to the story. I'm sorry to say, it's a retread of the first one.
It was a retread of the first one. I'll give you that. But I thought it was, if they're gonna do this sort of again with a new person, it was sort of an interesting way to do it.
There were a few things that I thought were kind of interesting, and then everything else was just retreading old ground.
I thought what they should have done was, when she's like seeing him in her head, and he's telling her, don't do this and don't do that. I thought it would have been really interesting if she asked herself throughout the movie whether or not this was in her own mind and she was going crazy, or whether or not this was actually him. Maybe
she kind of did. I mean,
I thought they could have done that a little bit more, and would have been an interesting thing to do.
I thought it was interesting how they have a very serious problem of, if she gets a paper cut, they all freak out because they're vampires,
and it's very, very hard for them not to.
That got my attention a little more than I was expecting. I thought it was interesting how the head vampires in the end aren't going to be so quick to kill one of their own. Like, he in the end, he's kind of like, I think Bella's dead, so I'm just going to go kill him. I'm going to go piss these guys off and kill myself. And they're like, well, dude, we know what you're doing, and we're not just going to kill you.
And they didn't really take it seriously. Yeah. It wasn't like they weren't like retard vampires. It was like, oh, then we will kill you.
That was handled a little smarter than I was expecting. The love triangle that eventually happened between Edward, Jacob, and Bella was good for what it was. Because you actually sympathize with Jacob more than you do with Edward. I think Edward is kind of a douche.
You know what? He made the wrong decision at the beginning of the movie, and the movie didn't apologize for him. I liked that.
No, it didn't. But do you notice how we are never really given a reason why these two love each other, Edward and Bella. They never really talk about what they like about each other. They just or what they have in common.
I agree with you.
I love you because I love you, and I love you because I love you.
In the beginning, they were intrigued by one another because he was somehow irresistibly compelled to with this attraction to her, and she found that interesting, so she was kind of attracted to him. That never really developed beyond just a mysterious physical attraction. Yeah, it never really gelled into.
But the thing that I don't understand is she is 18 years old.
Yeah,
and they met when she was what is this, a year after the first film? So she was 17.
Right.
And so he's 108. I think that is, 100 some odd years. So he's been alive for 100 years, and he's telling her, "You're the only reason that I'm alive." When he's known her for a year out of the 100 that he's been alive. I mean, what was keeping him alive before her?
Probably just being a vampire, and now, well, I think the point was, now you're my only. Without you, I wouldn't want to be alive. And you see that at the end of the movie, he doesn't. But
we're told that, but why?
Right. Yeah.
What is it about her that is so damned appealing to him?
That was a really good point you made. That they never talk about what they like about each other, and they should.
Yeah, they should. But they haven't in 2 films.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I'll tell you something. This Bella character, she has the worst luck. I mean, it's like winning the lottery twice if you think about it, because she finds this one guy in the first film, and she's like, "Hey, I really like this guy." Ah, son of a bitch!
Yeah,
he's gonna eat me. Damn it! Oh well, now he's gone. Okay, well, hey, here's this other guy. He's good looking. He's good with cars. Yeah, this is. God fucking damn it! He's gonna eat me too. It's like
her. What about the werewolves and the vampires? They have battled now twice now with the same person. She just fucks everything up for them and makes it a lot more difficult for them to live in their little society.
This is from a guy's standpoint, because I'm not a teenage girl. I don't think she's worth it. This is a lot of trouble for these two, factions to be going through for one human girl.
There are certainly other fish in the sea, but I actually honestly wish that there really were something about her that was special to these people, other than the fact that she is who she is. I thought
they figured something special out in the end.
I kind of thought it was interesting that none of their vampire powers work on her, and why the fuck is that? I'm actually curious about that.
Yeah, that might be enough to kind of generate a little bit of interest for me in the new movie.
Did this movie bore you?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Towards the end, I was getting a little bored.
I wasn't bored at all.
Not at first. I think like 2/3 of the way in, it was dragging me through
I think the only time I ever felt it getting slow was right around the time that all of the werewolf kids, where it was revealed that they were werewolves. It started to drag a little then, but it wasn't too long after that it ended.
I don't understand why all of these supernatural beings are hiding themselves. Like, it's the one thing that they all do, is like, we can't reveal ourselves. Why the fuck not?
Well, because they'll be hunted by humans.
They're hunting each other. They're being hunted by vampires. Are being
they
hunted
have
by
their own little. I don't know. Because otherwise this turns into Underworld.
Yeah, I know. It's not that big. Weren't they hiding it in Underworld as well?
Sort of.
I can't even remember that.
Actually, I don't really remember that movie much either.
This is a little better than Underworld, but that's not saying much.
It's different. I know you're joking, but it's
Underworld
genres.
is an action film,
exactly.
And this is a drama for teenage girls. I'm sorry, I'm just not a teenage girl. I just can't. Oh, Jacob. Oh, Edward. I can't do it. I don't care that much.
Well, I didn't do that.
It was on for 2 hours, and I had a beer, and that was nice. And it ended, and I'm reasonably satisfied, and I have no plans to ever see it again.
No, you'd never see it again. But...
I will say this though. This is being touted as the second of 2 of the worst films that have ever been made, Twilight and this.
Yeah.
And everybody's going on and on about how awful they are. I'm actually kind of surprised by how average this is.
And
I'm
surprised going to tell you
by how bad everyone thinks this is.
I was going to tell you, in Hollywood, you have your typical shit that's pumped out every year that's just... trying to be, it's just this either, big special effects pictures, just garbage movies that come out. And then every now and again you have something really, really special like Shawshank Redemption or Pitch Black or something like that. Something that just comes out of nowhere and surprises you. And then you have stuff, just average movies, and this is just an average movie.
Yeah, this is just floating there in the middle.
I think the reason that people have so much contempt for this is because it's a teenage fad. Not really because it's a bad movie, just because it's a popular movie that's hyped up by...
Well, here I go again repeating myself, because I did say in Twilight that I suspect that people hate these movies for what kind of movies they are, rather than, for the film itself. This is not bad. It's not good. It's take it for what it is. If you like it, fine. If you don't, fine.
Yeah.
It just sort of sits there as a movie, and you can watch it and go home and drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Or maybe like read books.
Or read a book. Read a book. I just bought Slash's book, and that's going to be kind of interesting to read because I'm a fan. He's got a new album coming out.
He's a guitar player. What's interesting
He's
about
the
him?
greatest guitar player
What does that have to do with his life? What do you need to read his autobiography?
He has actually kind of an interesting life. He grew up around a lot of musical talent, and it really influenced him. And he did a lot of drinking. So you've got Substance, and then you've got the typical, rock story.
I don't know.
I actually have segued into Slash's book because this movie is so uninteresting to me. So we should probably wrap this up.
Maybe. Let me just say, I like reading the autobiographies of songwriters where I care where they got the influences for their songs that had an effect
I want to know
on
where
me.
he gets his influence from his music. I mean, everyone...
Who gives a shit? His music
I
is
do.
Okay.
Because he's the greatest guitar player alive.
Who cares?
With
That's
the
like
possible exception of Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde is like number 2.
That's like saying this guy's the best... this guy's the best chainsaw operator in the world. The guy's the best forklift operator in the world.
You're comparing.
So I want to read his autobiography. I want to read his autobiography so I can see where he got the inspiration to drive a forklift so good.
Yeah, because driving a forklift is exactly like composing music.
Well, he's not a composer. He's just a guitar player.
No, he is a composer. He composed all the music on his new album, and I'm really looking forward to hearing it. He's got a song called Watch This that is just fucking awesome, and everyone should go download it.
We do not like the same kind of music.
We were talking about New Moon.
Oh, fuck.
So there you go.
Yeah, there you have it.
I don't care. So if you liked it, great. If you don't like it, great.
I don't care much. I thought it was better than the first one, and I wasn't bored.
There we go. New Moon. Who cares?